Hello, Pink Collective, and welcome to Pink After Dark. Tonight's tales blur the line between true and fictional, so get comfortable, turn down the lights, and let's begin. Cloverpine. A small town known to be the luckiest town because an actual four-leaf clover was found in the thick pine forest, and thus Cloverpine was born. The town, small and quaint like most small towns, was a place where everyone knew everyone. Many generations of families grew up there, all attending the same elementary school, the only one in town, and later the same high school, also the only one in town. And when something happened in this town, they all cheered together, celebrated together, and even grieved together. Ivy Donnelly's family had lived in Cloverpine for almost 5 generations. Their roots ran deep, and she aspired to become a journalist. Even at 16, she had already made a website where she would share news and topics she found interesting, but what she loved most was talking to the people in her town. The whole town was supportive of Ivy's website and interacted with it as much as they could. After she made an Ask Ivy column, it became a big hit. Everyone would ask Ivy for relationship advice, how to clean wine from the sofa, or what the weather was going to be like, anything the town could think of. Ivy's dreams also became very popular. She already had a vivid imagination, but lately her dreams had become very strange. Even stranger, some of the townsfolk shared that they too had been having a lot of bad dreams, mostly silly things, not quite nightmares but definitely not good dreams either. Nora Calloway dreamed her teeth fell out, and she had this dream a few nights in a row. June Danvers dreamed her cat was missing. Miles Whitmore dreamed of being hurt, and every time he had the dream, it would get worse. Silas Kendrick dreamed of being late or unprepared for things. At first, these dreams seemed like an odd coincidence. Since everyone was so intertwined in each other's lives, it made sense for them to suddenly have bad dreams. They all joked about it. Silas could not be late for things. He was the sheriff in town. Those who dreamed of house break-ins joked it was drunk Randy walking into the wrong house. But the jokes quickly stopped when a moment came that would make the whole town grieve together: the loss of a town member. And even sadder, this town member did not live the long life most did in Cloverpine. This one only made it to 4 years old. Little Owen was too impatient to wait for his mom to come out with him to the pool. When she got there, Tessa found him floating in the water. She did what she could to save him, but it was too late. At the funeral, Ivy spoke to Tessa. They were neighbors, and Ivy had often babysat Owen. She was deeply hurt by his passing. "He felt like a little brother to me," Ivy said to Tessa. Tessa could barely speak through the choking in her throat, but what she managed to say was, "I dreamt this." She fought back more tears. "It has been weeks. It started with Owen looking out at the pool, then the door was open and he stood in the doorway." Tessa stopped to hold back a sob. Then he would walk over to the pool each night, getting closer and closer until he was in the water. She broke down again. "But I could not pull him out. He drifted away, and now he's really—" Tessa couldn't finish. After Ivy tried her best to console the young mother, Tessa spoke again, her voice now serious. "I do not know how he got out. I put him in his high chair while I went to get his things, since he was so eager to go outside. Those dreams made me so nervous that I did not allow him to swim for weeks, until I felt cruel for telling him no. I was extra careful." Tessa raised her voice on those last words. "I made sure he could not go anywhere without me. The door was locked." "I do not think he will ever forgive me," Tessa said in a small voice, looking down at her hands. Ivy looked up at Jasper, Owen's father and Tessa's husband. He sat in his chair and just stared straight out the window, not interacting with anyone. The small town grieved little Owen for a long time, and they stopped thinking about their bad dreams, until another tragedy hit the town only a few days after Owen's funeral. Miles fell down his stairs and hurt himself, spending weeks in the hospital. The town felt uneasy after his fall because he had dreamed he would get hurt. Even stranger, Sheriff Kendrick took a long time to get to the scene and was unprepared for the severity of Miles's fall. The fall not only seriously injured Miles's leg, but also gave him a concussion. He was too dazed to call for help after the fall, and when he was found, he was unconscious. In the hospital, he was very confused about what had happened. Ivy was sad for Mr. Whitmore. He was like a grandfather to everyone in town, the kind who liked to tease and play pranks. But the dreams had her more curious. How was it that whatever people dreamed happened, but only the bad dreams? Ivy needed to go back and look at everyone who had shared their dreams on her website. She also needed to see who in town had not sent anything so she could ask them in person. Most people in town had dreams like being naked in public or their hair falling out, and some did not really have bad dreams. She only had a couple left who had not posted on her website, Leo and Clara Caldwell. On her bike, riding toward their home, sheriff and deputy cars sped past her, sirens screaming. She pedaled as fast as she could to reach where the cars were headed. An accident, a bad one. It looked like a pickup truck had gone too fast on the bend and rolled, hitting a street lamp. The truck had come from a dirt road in the farming part of town, which was also where the Caldwells lived. The moment Ivy had that thought, she looked at the truck again. The grey-blue, now badly damaged Ford Ranger belonged to Leo. Ivy stood, one foot on her pedal and one on the ground, watching from a distance as they got Leo out of his truck and checked for injuries. She could see how badly he was hurt, but luckily, the ambulance could be heard approaching. Ivy did not wait around. She raced to the Caldwell house. If Clara did not know about the accident yet, Ivy would let her know and maybe have a chance to talk to her. Ivy dropped her bike as she jumped off and ran to the front door, hammering on it. Clara opened the door, confused and startled. "Gosh, Ivy, where's the fire?" she asked. Leo was in an accident at the corner of town, Ivy said, out of breath. Clara was shocked and stood still for a moment before grabbing her bag from the entrance table and her car keys, then closing the door behind her. "Show me," Clara said, leading Ivy to her car in the driveway. Ivy noticed Clara looking around as if searching for someone as she walked and climbed into the car. Ivy led her to the road where the dirt road became paved. When they got there, deputies were still closing off the road and inspecting the area, but the ambulance was gone. Sheriff Kendrick explained that Leo was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital and that they would have notified Clara of the accident. He could not tell her much about Leo's condition, but the accident looked bad. Clara, with tears filling her eyes, sped off toward the hospital as fast as she could. In the car, Ivy took the opportunity to explain why she had been in the area and how she had been able to notify Clara of the accident. Clara was quiet. Ivy thought she was concentrating on the road, but after what felt like forever in silence, Clara spoke. "Leo has been having dreams, bad ones, of being in an accident, but he did not believe in nonsense like that." Clara wiped tears from her face. "I have also been having dreams, and I think Leo pretended it was silly so as not to worry me." Her voice broke on the last words. "What did you dream about?" Ivy asked. "I have been seeing a shadow or a silhouette of a person, always at a distance. With every dream, it gets closer. I feel crazy saying it, but I see something in the corner of my eye, at the windows or when I am outside. But when I look, there is nothing there. And what are the chances my Leo dreams of an accident and now?" Clara started sobbing, the sound choking in her throat. Ivy did not ask any more questions and tried to comfort Clara until they reached the hospital. At the hospital, Clara spoke to doctors and nurses and called her and Leo's parents. Ivy gave her space and decided to check on Mr. Whitmore. In his room, he lay quietly, looking out the window. She was glad he was awake. She walked over and started talking to him. But Mr. Whitmore did not respond, he only stared out the window. She knew everyone said the prolonged effects of his concussion had caused long-term issues, but she had not realized it was this bad. She tried asking him a few more questions, but he did not say anything. Ivy thought maybe he could still hear and understand, even if he could not respond. She told him about what had been happening around town, her dream project, and how June Danvers' cat had gone missing, just like she had dreamed. She also spoke about how Tessa was coping with Owen's death. "Oh, Owen," a frail voice came from Miles Whitmore. "Mr. Whitmore," Ivy said gently. Miles stayed quiet again. He said Owen's name a few more times. Ivy said goodbye and told him she'd bring treats next time. As she turned to leave, he spoke again. "Owen, why Owen?" She stopped and turned back to the old man. He had loved seeing Owen, especially when Tessa and Owen would come back from the shops, and Owen would excitedly run to Mr. Whitmore if he was outside in the garden, eager to tell him about what he had seen at the store. Ivy said before turning to leave the room. "Jasper, why?" Ivy stopped. "What did he say?" "Jasper, is that you?" He spoke again. Ivy turned back. "What about Jasper, Mr. Whitmore?" she asked, but he was quiet again, just staring out the window. Ivy went to the nurses to ask about him, and they said Jasper had been checking in on him, which was likely why he had said that. In the waiting room, Ivy heard that Leo would make a full recovery. His injuries were not life-threatening. Before Ivy left to call her mom to come pick her up, someone else walked into the hospital. It was Jasper, Owen's father, Tess's husband. At the receptionist's desk, Ivy heard him ask about Leo. "Hi, Jasper," Ivy greeted him. "Hi, Ivy. Are you here to visit Mr. Whitmore?" he asked. "Yes and no," Ivy replied. She explained how she had been in the area when Leo had his accident. She did not want to tell Jasper about the dreams, since Tessa already felt they were warnings she should have listened to. "Are you here to visit Mr. Whitmore?" she asked Jasper. "No, I feel bad." "I have been meaning to check in on him. I heard about Leo and wanted to make sure he was okay," Jasper replied. Ivy said her goodbyes to Jasper and told him she needed to go, but he insisted she wait a bit so she could ride with him. Ivy hesitated at first, only because she found herself wondering why Jasper would lie about visiting Mr. Whitmore. In the car, Ivy asked about Tessa and how they were doing. Jasper seemed to be doing well, but admitted Tessa had good days and bad. At home, she said goodbye and went inside. She had a message from Clara thanking her for letting her know about Leo and asking her to thank Jasper for checking in. Ivy had missed the opportunity to tell Jasper, but she would be sure to remember next time she saw him. The next day, Clara dropped off Ivy's bike and let her know Leo would be coming home in a few days. Ivy asked if she felt safe being in the house alone after the things she had been seeing, but Clara assured her it was all just a coincidence and she would be fine. Ivy did not want to push it, so she changed the subject and told Clara she had seen her message too late and had not passed along her thanks to Jasper. Clara understood and told Ivy how kind Jasper had been. She thought it was because he had lost Owen and just wanted to keep busy. She mentioned how he had looked at Leo's truck for him after hearing it make a noise in the supermarket parking lot. Clara left, and Ivy decided to check in with Tessa. Jasper's car was not home, so Tessa was alone. Ivy knocked and Tessa answered, still in her robe at 4 in the afternoon. The house was dark, none of the windows open. The place looked messy, with dried flower bouquets everywhere. Tessa looked like a shadow of her former self. "How are you?" Ivy asked. "Numb," Tessa replied. "Numb," Ivy repeated. "Yes, it is like I do not know what feelings are anymore. I am just numb." "I am sorry, Tessa. I wish I could help you. How is Jasper doing?" "He is hardly home. I think he cannot stand looking at me. When he is home, he is cold, does not talk, and just sits on the couch staring into space." Ivy was confused. That did not sound like the man she had seen the day before, or the one Clara had described. Maybe, as she had suspected, Jasper blamed Tessa for Owen's death. But then why would he seem so warm to others? "I hope this does not sound insensitive, but have you been having any new dreams?" Ivy asked nervously. "It is fine. I do not really sleep, but when I do not sleep deeply enough to dream. But earlier, before you came, I had a dream. It felt like just a split second." "What did you dream?" Ivy asked, sitting on the edge of her seat. "I dreamt I lost my voice. I tried screaming something, but I could not." "That is terrifying," Ivy replied. They talked for a few more minutes before Jasper came home. He was surprised to see Ivy there. He excused himself and went to his study, just a desk in the corner of the dining room with a room divider. Tessa asked Ivy if she would mind returning all the dishes and pans from the folks in town who had made them dinner. Ivy did not mind. While waiting at the door for the items, she could see Jasper typing away on his laptop. It was too far for her to make out what he was writing, but she strained her eyes anyway. She got a fright when her phone rang. She took it out, but accidentally cancelled the call. Annoyed, Ivy unlocked her phone. It was her mom. She would call back quickly, but as she was about to, Tessa brought out a box full of plates, pans, and containers. Ivy almost dropped her phone trying to hold both the phone and the box. "Thank you for doing this. I don't feel like facing anyone," Tessa said, clutching her robe tightly around herself. "It's no problem. I am happy to help. I will check in later, okay?" "Bye, Jasper," Ivy called out. Jasper got up and walked to the door. "That is a lot of containers. Should keep you busy for a while," he said in a flat, toneless voice. "Yeah, I guess it would," Ivy replied, unsettled by his strange remark. It was late at night. Ivy had been to all the houses she knew had sent food to Tessa and Jasper. She stopped at a convenience store for a drink and a break, debating whether to go home and finish the next day. She was drinking her soda on the store's curb when Sheriff Kendrick pulled up. He was surprised to see Ivy out so late on a school night. She explained her errand and how she had promised Tessa she would return everything. She even asked if anything in the box might belong to Mrs. Kendrick. "Sweetheart, that question is best left for the missus." "But I am sure she did send a meatloaf," Sheriff Kendrick replied. "Sheriff, while I have you." "What was the cause of Leo's accident?" Ivy asked. "It is the strangest thing. It looked like his brakes stopped working. Leo also said, when I took his statement, that he could not slow down on the turn, but he insisted his brakes were new, might be a factory fault." The sheriff turned to walk inside the store. Ivy took out her phone while still drinking her soda. She remembered she had never called her mom back, but when she opened her phone, it was in camera mode. It must have happened when she took the box from Tessa. Curious, she opened the last photo taken. It was of Jasper at the laptop. She zoomed in on the screen, but the words were too hard to make out. She tried adjusting filters and settings but could only see a few words. I'm sorry, Ivy said aloud. What could it mean? Then it hit her. She ran into the store, leaving the box on the curb. "Sheriff, you need to take me to Jasper and Tessa's house. Urgently, please," Ivy called out. The sheriff saw the urgency on Ivy's face. The instincts that came with years of experience told him that he needed to listen to her. He nodded at Ivy, and they hurried to his vehicle, leaving his goods at the counter. In the car, she explained that she thought Jasper might hurt himself. She was not positive about what she had seen in the photo, but better safe than sorry. The sheriff agreed and turned on his sirens as they raced through town. Her heart dropped when they arrived. All the lights were off. They ran to the door, knocking frantically, but no one answered. Ivy looked through the window, trying to make out anything in the dark. As her eyes adjusted, she could see the furniture and the dried flowers. Then she saw something that did not belong, a silhouette, hanging still, swaying slightly. Ivy cried out, trying to explain what she was seeing. Sheriff Kendrick broke down the door and ran inside. "Call for help now," he instructed Ivy, shooing her out before turning on the lights. Outside, Ivy radioed the sheriff's office, telling them to come quickly. Then, against the sheriff's orders, she ran back inside and saw a lifeless Tessa on the ground. Kendrick was giving her CPR. Tears rolled down Ivy's cheeks. She knew Tessa was sad, but not like this. "Wait," she whispered to herself. Tessa was not the one who had typed on the laptop. Ivy ran to the laptop and woke the screen. She had thought it was a suicide letter, but Jasper had been writing a suicide letter for Tessa. As she heard more sirens approaching, she realized something else. She ran out and stopped the first deputy car. "We need to check on Clara." "Now!" she shouted, confused. The deputy reluctantly agreed. They had barely stopped at Clara's house when they heard screaming. The deputy jumped out, gun drawn, telling Ivy to stay in the car. She did not listen. At the door, the deputy announced himself and entered. Ivy stayed behind, peeking around the corner into the dark house. Then she saw a figure with a large object swing it down onto the deputy's head. He collapsed, unconscious. Ivy clamped a hand over her mouth, ducking back against the wall. She could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. Footsteps approached, then stopped and walked away. "Clara, sweetheart, why are you hiding from me?" Ivy recognized that voice. It was Jasper. He was looking for Clara. No answer came. Clara must be hiding. Ivy looked at the deputy, still breathing, but his gun was missing. She ran to the car and radioed for backup, then sneaked back to the house, moving outside to see through the windows. Her heart nearly stopped when she peered into one and saw Jasper, his back turned, searching the room. Ivy moved to the next window and saw Clara hiding under a bed near a sliding glass door. She tapped on the window to signal where Jasper was. Testing the door, she found it unlocked and slid it open quietly. Clara crept out from under the bed, but her shoulder caught a lamp cord, pulling it down with a crash. In seconds, Jasper was in the room. Clara scrambled back under the bed as Ivy ran. "Wait, my sweetheart, why are you running from me?" Jasper called after her. He must not have recognized Ivy in the dark. Ivy ran into the forest, zigzagging between trees, hiding behind them, hoping he had not followed. "Clara, why are you hiding? I did everything you wanted." Jasper yelled from somewhere in the darkness. "I saw how you looked at me at the workshop when you brought your car in. I heard you say you did not want kids." Ivy's heart sank. Owen had died because a delusional man thought Clara wanted him. "I am single now. We can be together. We can get rid of Leo, and no one could stop us." Ivy sobbed, terror overwhelming her. "My sweet." Jasper jumped in front of her, then froze when he saw it was not Clara. "Ivy, how?" she screamed, unable to move. "Are you against our love too?" he yelled. No, Ivy stammered. "You are. All of you are keeping us apart." He raised the gun, the metal glinting in the moonlight. A shot rang out, then another. Jasper fell to the ground with a thud. 2 deputies emerged from the trees, checking on Ivy. Clara was okay, just shaken. Tessa would pull through. Mr. Whitmore recovered fully, but Jasper did not make it. He died from the first gunshot. Clara was baffled. She and Jasper had never been a couple. Yes, she was friendly with him. They had known each other for years, but she had been sure he was happily married. Yet Jasper had believed Clara was giving him signals. He mentioned how she had once told Tessa that she and Leo did not want kids. How she had once joked, "I am going to kill that man," when she was angry at Leo. In his twisted mind, these were signs meant for him. He had convinced Tessa to let Owen swim again. When she went upstairs, he took Owen from his high chair, opened the door, and put him in the pool. Then he climbed over Mr. Whitmore's fence to make it seem like he had been at work, but he had not counted on Mr. Whitmore seeing him. Miles had confronted him, unsure if he had really seen Jasper climb the fence. Jasper had brushed him off, saying he would explain later. Then, while servicing the sheriff's department cars, Jasper saw an opportunity. He tampered with the brakes, then pushed Miles down the stairs to make it look like an accident. Next was Leo. At a parking lot, Jasper had claimed he heard Leo's brakes squeaking and offered to fix them for free at their home, and poor Tessa drowning in grief. He knew her suicide would seem believable. All the dreams had come true. Nora Calloway lost her teeth. Her dentures fell out and she accidentally stepped on them. June Denver's cat did go missing, only to have a litter of kittens, but the mystery of the dreams was never explained. The town could only guess that Cloverpine was the luckiest town because the dreams had warned them of the danger in their midst. If tonight's story stayed with you, become part of the Pink Collective by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Until next time, Pink Collective, stay curious, stay safe, and stay pink.